How's it going? We all good? We hope that the microphone and everything's turned on. Looking good. How are we feeling out there? Everyone well? A few heads get in. Welcome back. Big up Meister, big up Dirt Jump. All the gang in nice and early. Doing things a bit different today. We probably could run a quiz at the same time, to be honest. But it might detract a little bit. Sounds FIO'd. FIO? What's that say? I'm struggling to read that. F100. I'm not sure if that's I'm mistaking that somewhere. Yeah, the shirt is a Adidas Originals little limited edition. Oh, that sounds good. I got you. Okay, I see now. Greetings. Shout out everyone who's just joined us. We are going to do some production. Trying to work and type at the same time. You're good, man. We're all in the same boat here. Don't worry about that. Don't watch it. How is everyone? We good? Yeah, fire a couple of lengs into the chat. There we go. So, how many people in the chat are producers themselves? Few producers in the building. We're going to try and make another sick football shirt. Yes, Bazza. Big one, this one. I'm going to try and move slowly with the production today. I'm quite a slow producer anyway. I'm not one of those studio nerds who can just bang 10 tunes out in the space of 20 minutes. It's not really my style. So what I'm going to do today is just have some fun. Engage with you guys in the chat. So I've got the chat up on my laptop next to me so that I can keep an eye on it. Pop this. I need to see is the chat so I can read what you are up to. I think the easiest way for me to do that right now is going to actually be to full screen the main video. Laptop's having a mare. How is everyone though? We all well? Good evening. Evening all the new followers. Make it accessible for Logic Pro. I mean, most of the techniques will be the same. Obviously, a lot of the shortcuts and stuff are going to be very different. But, you know, a lot of the plugins I use will work with Logic and all of that, I'm sure. Must be an easier way for me to keep an eye on the chat. Anyway, without further ado, let me get onto my FL screen. So what we got here, we're going to start off a little beat. This is kind of how FL looks when you open it up as standard. You will always have like kick, clap, hat and snare. Just check that you guys got the sound you need. Let me know if you heard them kick drums there. I think we should be good. I did do plenty of testing today. Shout out to new followers. But yeah, man, I've been chilling today. I've been getting some office shit done. There's a lot of people who work in this industry will tell you it's not all fun and games. I've been full-time in the music industry since 2001, if my memory serves me correctly. I used to work in distribution. So that was my first job in the industry. At that same time, I was obviously DJing, but I wasn't really earning money. So can't really say I was a working DJ, so to speak, before that. I was just like a hobbyist. Got into distribution, learned about running labels, started my own label, and started kind of learning how to produce around that same time. I learned how to produce before I started my own label. I had a couple releases before then. Sound is good. Just come from Asia's stream. He's been going through some of the beats he made for Young Lean. That's sick. This is Fruity Loops, yeah. This is all I've ever used. I mean, I've used I did College and we did Cubase and Reason rewired into that. But yeah, I've always used FL. I don't really. There's no need for me to leave it. I used to use like a lot earlier versions of FL than this. Actually, this is 12 that you can see now. Shout out the gang tipping already. Nice. I feel like as you've tipped, we got 3 beers on the go today. DJ DNDY, shout out you. But yeah, I use FL to do everything pretty much. So before I get into it today, see, like, I like making all kinds of music. Just want to make a beat. Which release was Gully Brook Lane? That was 005. Didn't it leak, or people playing rips before it came out? It got plenty of reloads. It didn't leak. Obviously, I sent it to a lot of DJs. It wasn't leaked. As far as I'm aware, a lot of DJs were playing it, but we sent it to them. So no, I didn't hear anyone play it unexpectedly or anything like that. Yeah, that was Terrorism 5. 005. Took a little while to come out, that one. Should have come out a lot earlier than it did. Yeah. So, in terms of like genre, where are we going with this? Where do you guys want to take it? What tempo, kind of styles should we be running? We want to do something wavy, some grimy, something completely different, some like hip hop vibe, lo-fi, 100 BPM grime, electro, yeah? Here you go, electro. What we saying? Grime with chords. A garage one, yeah? Dubstep or grime, mellow grime. 130 grime. 140 wave. UKG drums. Let's try, tell you what we'll do. We'll do a wavy, like 130. Let's go like 128. 128, something a bit skippy, wavy, but we'll use some classic grime sounds in there. So we'll do a bit of everything. Yeah? A wavy 127 beats per minute, garagey, skippy drums. And yeah, I mean, we might change the tempo, but we'll start building at 127. Alright, so for those of you who don't know how to use FL Studio, you can see my cursor. I hope you can see my cursor. You just yes, you can. Okay, I'm watching the live stream. So let's try and up the quality on the stream I'm watching. So to change the tempo of the track on FL is very easy. All you do is come up to this part here where it says 130, and we're gonna drag the 0 down to 127. This doesn't matter. You can change this anytime. So if you start building and you're not into the tempo or whatever, you can always change it up, and we probably will. Once I get into the build of it, sometimes I feel like something doesn't sound quite right at the tempo. Might speed it up, might slow it down. So for the time being, we're thinking of something like wavy, grimy, skippy at 127. So for me, I think the first thing I want to do, if we're going like garagey, skippy drums, is get my drum sounds in. So on this side here, this top left, I know the chat's covering a little bit of it, but it's all the same all the way down, so it doesn't matter too much. This is where all of our sounds are. It's kind of like the menu screen, if you like, of FL. So in here, I've got all my sounds, plugins. I don't personally use this to get to my plugins. I use it to get to my samples. So I've been collecting samples for years. So I've got loads and loads of packs, drums. Some people like to use loops. I don't use loops very often. I like to try and draw everything in. First things first. This is a something like personal choice here. I'm gonna go to project general settings because I like to make my patterns as standard 8 beats per bar. That's just so that if you look at the map here, everything's in patterns. So if you listen to grime, for example, you know, like the 8 bar grime, like Pulse X, this is the bit where sort of like the bongs come in, and then the second 8 is there. So that's your 8 bars if you're making grime. And as you see there, I've just painted. There's nothing in those patterns yet. But this is how you basically, once you build your patterns, you draw them into the timeline. It's very easy. FL Studio, I was completely self-taught. Now it's even easier because you've got YouTube, loads of tutorials, things like this. There's loads of people like me on Twitch doing stuff like this. I've never done this on Twitch, by the way. I've never made a beat in front of people. And I'm not the most technically minded producer either. You'll see producers on Twitch who know stuff inside out, upside down. I mean, like Kenny Beats, people like that. You watch their streams, it's wild. But I do know my way around a beat. I know what I like the sound of. So hopefully we'll get something good from this. And I won't go too fast. I'm going to let you guys follow along for a couple of hours. Will this be on YouTube for later? No, it'll be on here on Twitch. Download FL Studio for the first time. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Hopefully this is a good way to show you. So anyway, as I said, on this side over here, on the left-hand side, we got all of our sounds. And it's currently covered. But I'm going to scroll down here. I've got a folder called Packs, and that is where all of my drum samples are saved. Now I go into Packs, you can see here, drum samples. And I've got loads of kits that I've downloaded through the years. Loads of folders that I've saved bits. I've got like drill kits in here. I've got trap kits. I've got the classic Lex Luger drum kits. The DJ Mustard, the Young Chop. All of them. You can find these all over the internet. There's a lot of producers on YouTube that are doing their own. Like, you can get sounds for free everywhere these days. And you can never have too many sounds, especially for drums. I like to have a lot. So if we're going with something garagey, for me personally, I always like dirty drums. I don't like really clean sounding garage. When I think of garage, I think of like vinyl. If this is a personal thing, obviously. A lot of people like new, clean, two-step garage. That's not my vibe. If I'm doing something garagey, I want it to sound a little bit lo-fi. So I'm going to go straight away into some of my older folders of drum kits. So I've got my old Fruity Drums folder here. And in here, I've got loads of like really, most of these samples are recorded off of records. So got all my kicks in here. Don't go in too loud. Right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like cycle through. So don't worry, it's gonna sound a bit mad, but this is just me trying to find a sound. This is kind of how I get through my kicks, and that's too punchy for me. I need like a knocky kick. Did I sample these myself? Not these ones we're listening to now, no. But there are a lot that I have sampled myself, yeah. Okay, that's the kind of drum I'm looking for. Like, I don't want like a big, massive kick drum. So then I want to right click it, open in new channel. And then what that does, as you can see, there's our sound. Click that. There. That's the sound. There's some things you can do in here. I'll kind of go through that as we go. But basically what I wanted to do was get in here. And there's my kick, right? So this is your timeline for each pattern. So there's a kick. That's the first beat in the pattern. So if I stick the loop on, I'll leave the metronome on for a second as well. Metronome helps you hear it in time, right? So here we go. This is... Now I can hear... that kick drum has been pitched up. Sometimes when you load things in, it tries to like find the pitch of it. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to hit the little thing here, and I can see that it's been pitched up to C3. I'm just going to right click above the C5, and that means that the root note is back where we found it, right? C5 is like the default. So if you listen to it and it sounds a bit unusual, just right click, make sure you right click the top. That kind of like resets it back to, so now I've got my kick sounding like that again. As you can hear now, that is the default tone of that kick, right? So when I'm writing drums, I like to stay in these patterns. So garagey, we might want to put a bit of swing on it as well, but we'll get to that. Now, I'm going to find a few more sounds, probably a few more kicks. I like to load some little bits in. These have got like hats on them and all sorts. They're really dirty. What do I think about mixing neo-trance with garage? I mean, each to their own. I think if you think that there's a little market that you can get into there, obviously that I did a track with Duce recently, which was kind of on that vibe. So I've got a nice little clean kick there. I'm going to drag that in as well. So you can also drag and drop in FL. See, I'm dragging, I'm just going to drop it there and it will just open it up. There you go. I've got a kick there. Got a couple of kicks now. I'm going to try and get a couple more. I've got some more sample packs in here. I've got where are those Wu-Tang? I've got an old Wu-Tang pack somewhere. Here we go. Kicks. These are all really dirty. I like dirty drums for garagey stuff. That's got a bit of dirt on it. Sometimes just a little bit of dirt on the drums. Little knocks. Okay, well, we got a few kicks in there now. We need hats. So, some percussion. So that's like a bit like garagey. I just like dirty drums. Like, you know, if you listen to like Burial, that kind of garage vibe, that's a bit more the vibe that I'm on. So for me, I always have loads and loads of samples that end up not getting used, but it's good to have lots of different ones for drums, and then you start playing, you'll see in a minute why. It's good to have lots of different options. And then, so we've got kicks, we've got some hats, we need some snares, and go on, where am I going to go? Snares. I like, shout out all the new followers, by the way. Welcome. We're getting slowly through this. We'll get into some drums in a minute. Then we'll start adding. So we got all them classic Vengeance packs in. Everyone's got. They've been old fruity drum. That's the kind of snare I'm looking for. Something like that. I like knocky wooden sounds for garage. Like that kind of vibe. But I like stuff like that. Sometimes I end up using percussion as snares in garage, actually. And then once I start building, sometimes there'll be like a specific sound that I'm looking for as well, and then I'll go back in and try and find that. I'm gonna add a couple of shaker sounds. I always like a couple of shakers. Tambourine. Of them, and then you can go mad. Need a few claps in there. I just layer stuff up, so I like to have loads and loads. This probably more drum sounds than most people will use already, but it will all make sense in a minute. Need like a small. That's nice. Got a little bit of stereo width about it. What am I listening to during quarantine? I've had a lot less time to listen to music than I'd expect, to be honest. I've been listening to a lot of music that people send me on SoundCloud. I've been recording a lot of mixes, so I've been doing some wave stuff. So I've been listening to quite a lot of wave. Wave works nicely, kind of moody. So that's felt right. So let's get into our garagey beat, right? So I'm gonna start building. So stick with me. Here we go. Okay. As you can see, right, this here, this orange light, the difference there, when it's off, it plays the track in total. When it's on, it just plays the pattern that you're working in. So I'm just going to work inside this pattern now. Okay. Got to get some hats in here to... Okay, that's going to be our main sort of snare, I think. As you can hear, that's pitched up again. I'm going to layer that with this snare, just to give it a bit of... So I'm going to copy the pattern. Now I'm going to take the metronome off so I can hear what I'm doing. I like that. Sounds kind of unusual. Okay, so it's going to go... I've got a... Okay, so the so you can see we're starting to get that swing, and then we're gonna add some more swing into it, like. So I'm gonna add a little bit of swing to the beat. Some people like to play their drums in. I've never really been a person who plays their drums. So we're gonna make some dark garage vibe. Right, we need to get. Right, so that hat there is quite weird. So you can see like it's adding a little bit of a texture. Have a little listen before I get into it a bit more. So everyone doing all right? Everyone following? Any questions as of yet? So I got a really basic loop there. This isn't where normally I'd spend a shitload more time on the drum loop. I think that little bit of so I know exactly where the gap is here, like. So that little knock there is like a nice. So what I have missing actually is a little bit of percussion. Everything's mad pitched up at the minute. I don't know why everything's loading in like way higher than. Okay, so we got a little drum going there. So to get into some of the questions, how do I make a catchy bass line? That normally for me can be difficult. Sometimes it depends. Sometimes I'll write the bass first. Sometimes I'll write like a melody or something first. But I think if we're going with something like wavy, garagey, grimy, what I want to do, get some of that like wavy atmosphere in. Turn my music up a touch in my studio as well, hopefully. So I can hear. Are you guys hearing like echo when in the mic when I'm playing it at this level. That sound alright to you, yeah? So what I'm going to do is I am going to get in. I prefer to start with drums. Now the main reason I started with drums on this is because we were going for something garagey, and for me, like the garage, the thing that really determines garage as a genre is those skippy drums. So everything is built around the drums for me with garage. That's why I started with the drums. But if I was doing something else, like if I was making like a rap beat or like a wave thing, maybe if I was making something like hip hop that was more sample based, I'd start with the sample, get like a loop like locked in, and then build the drums around like the sample. What plugins do I use for my melodies and bass lines? So we're going to get into that now. I'm going to load up Contact. Now, Contact is like a multiple instrument. It's almost like a whole program in itself. You can load loads of different instruments into it. So I've got loads of Contact libraries. I've spent a lot of money on them. I've got some insane ones, which I'll show you. So we're going to get into something kind of wavy. I want like a really nice pad. So here's Contact. And I've got all my libraries on the left-hand side here. You can see this wild one that's loaded up now, which is called Dark Energy. And it's got some nice sounds in it. The thing with Contact is a lot of the sounds are kind of like presets. So you need a lot of you need libraries, but they're like super high quality. So you can get like mad instruments in here. I'm going to show you this one in a minute called Chevene, and it's insane. I'll show you in a sec. Anyway, we're looking for some kind of like pads. It's like something wavy. So we're going to go like minor chords. I've got my keyboard just to my left of me here. That's why my arm is stretched out on the camera. So I kind of like that note already. So I'm not classically trained either. So people in the chat saying, do minor harmonic? I don't know. All I know is what it feels like, and I can tell if it sounds like it's out of tune. A lot of it's trial and error for me. So let's try some different sounds. So up here, I can cycle through different sounds that are built inside this. So what I can also do is play my drum loop and then start playing along to it, sort of thing. Anyway, I'm going to get into this Chevene now so you can hear this. We'll load up Chevene. So let's load up like a staccato. Where are we? Voice. This is insane, right? So you can see here Chevene, right? The voice of elves. Who's ready to hear some elf shit? Mad. Yeah, this shit is not cheap. Cost me a lot of money, but it's worth it. You want to make that kind of sound. But it is quite a difficult one to just play around with, in that it's got so many different. So you got but it has got some really nice kind of like pad sounds in it as well. So if we go up here, I can kind of shortcut all of my contact libraries in one place. So we're going to something like the Colossus. A lot of these are by a company called Big Works. So yeah, Contact's available for Mac and PC. I think you can get a version of it free, but all of these sound banks that are inside it cost money. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a program that can play other programs inside it. I mean, I'm quite see, it might even be on this one. I know the kind of sound I'm trying to find, right? This is the problem. Okay, we can work with this. For the sake of this, we're going to run this. I'm going to play around for a bit, and then I'm going to like... Sometimes I'll draw in, sometimes I'll play it, but... Something like that. How do you loop a melody without sounding too loopy? I guess you can automate the like the, what's the word? The performance of it, so that everything's not bang on the beat. Like if you come off the beat slightly, maybe. So another good thing that you can do is once you kind of got the keys, the notes. So I like that note. So what I'm going to do, because I'm really shit at playing, is I'll click here, right click, and go to piano roll. Piano roll brings up this, right? So you can see they go orange. Oh, you probably can't see, right? If I click these two up here. Yeah, let me move this over so you can see what's going on. The keys go orange when you play them. The chat's in the way a little bit, but... So what I'm going to do is play in the keys. So it goes like that. That. I don't know if that's going to work, but let's have a listen. Okay, that's alright, that works. So the reason that the drums are stopping where they are is because my pattern for the pad is actually twice the length of the drum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, you see this green button here? Select it, I'm going to Control X, cut it. And I'm going to put it in its own pattern, on its own. So now I've got my drums in pattern 2, on their own. Shout out all the gang, yeah. This jersey does bits, trust me. So I've got my pattern 2, which is my first drum pattern. Pattern 3, which is my pad. And it's just a rough pad for now. We can tidy it up later. But that's what my pattern looks like there. There's my chord. So you can hear that on its own. So it's kind of eerie, wavy, emotional, dark garagey. So we're on the right track from what we decided we were going to try and attempt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this. I'm going to click here, press the playlist button, right? Button I'm looking at here. Didn't know you could cut and paste like that. You're learning already. I'm glad to have been of assistance. So I'm in the playlist now. The easiest way to paint in the playlist, right, is you select this paint tool. Now you can do it with the draw tool, but the paint one's better if you just want to quickly slap down the patterns. So pattern 2 is my one drum loop, right? I'm just going to slap that and I'm going to click and drag up to that point. Now, for me, at this tempo, making something garagey, this is a 32, I know it says 17 there, but it's what a lot of us will refer to as 32 bars. If you look at the top left, it says 1 minute, right? That is the 1 minute. That is, as you can see here, at the top of the screen, above the pattern number, it says 59.52. That's the time in seconds in the track. For a garage tune, as a DJ, garage tune will normally drop after 32 seconds or a minute. So 4 patterns or 2 patterns, basically, of 8. 8 bars. Some people will argue that 16 or whatever like that, but in sort of garage terms, that's a 32 bar intro. If you're asking an MC to spit a 32 bar, it's that. It's those 4 patterns. That's a 32. A 16 is the 2 patterns, if you're a grime. So, we've painted our drums. Now, we want to add the pads in on the timeline. Easy, right? Come up here and click. Oh, no, that's wrong, sorry. Don't click plus. You can just scroll up on your mouse, like to up or down on patterns. So pattern 3 is our, as you can see on the left here as well, we got our pattern selector. So 1, I think, was just like a kick drum on its own test. 2 was our normal drums, and you can rename these as well. So we can right click it, rename that to drum pattern 1. And this is already way more than I normally do. And we're going to make that green, press enter. And now, as you can see, they're all called drum pattern 1. And they're green on our timeline. So we can see them nice and easy. On this one, we're going to name this. And we're going to color it red. This is our chords. Our pad, sorry. We're going to call it pad. It's our pad instrument. Pad 1. We'll make that pink. Enter. And we're going to bring our pad in here. And I'm going to paint that. So it repeats 4 times. Now, if we listen to our track, it's starting to get the beginning. You can also click and drag from the left. Big up Tom Kills Jerry. Yeah, there's loads of little things. Don't take everything I'm doing as gospel. Everyone has their ways of doing it. I'm just showing you guys what I do. And like I said, I'm quite basic in my usage of FL. But I get the results I need, and that's all that matters, right? So if we hit play now, we're gonna have 16 bars of just drums, and then 16 bars of drums and pad, and that's where we'll. At the end of that is kind of where we want the track to drop, so to speak. Big up the Puget. This is the first time I've ever done this on a stream, so respect for joining. So it's going to come in now. I mean, our patterns are super basic still. I kind of like where this is going already. This is like my kind of vibe. So it's really basic at the minute, but we're getting the bones of it, right? This is how I like to work, is to get the bones and then go in and add all the detail. So more percussion, really like pan sounds from left to right in the mix. A lot of people like to really make things loud. I'm more about the vibe. I like every sound to have its own little space in the mix, and we'll get into that. Respect for giving you a peek into, the creative side. Well, that's it. I feel like, the quizzes have been great fun, and we'll do more of them definitely. But this is a chance for me to get some bits done, and you guys can hopefully learn something as well. So I'm going to paint some more drums in, and I'm going to paint my pad in, and I'm going to continue the pad. But here is roughly where I want the bass to come in. And this is going to be tough. But you normally want your bass to follow a similar... It needs to kind of be in key with everything else. So inside here, I'm going to add another contact channel. I think we'll go contact for bass. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go clone. And it will make another contact channel. But it will be exactly the same. So it's loaded the same sound and everything. But what I'm going to do is I am going to unload this sound by clicking the X here, delete that sound out, and I am going to put in a bass. Now, to be honest with you, for something like Dark Garage, I'd probably normally personally go actually for like a sampled rather than a synthesized bass, just because I think that, me personally, dirty garage. I like dirty sounds. So samples are a bit stretched out, not really, clean. I like everything to be a bit dirty when I'm making garage. But for the sake of it, let's have a listen of some bass sounds, and we'll play some bass in. So I've got some 808. Let's get these in. So these 808s are tough, by the way. This isn't really the kind of sound we're looking for, but so I'm just cycling through different sounds at the minute. Everything sounds slightly out of tune to me. So, like, for me to hear things in tune as well, there are like methods of fine tuning. I mean, if you're playing stuff out of contact, it should already be in tune. It might be that other sounds that I'm listening to, and also my hearing's a bit bad now. I'm getting older. So I normally have my music a lot louder, but because you guys need to hear what I'm saying, I can't have it that loud. So I'm struggling a little bit, if I'm being honest, to hear the tone of things, because my ears are like knackered from years of DJ. But I find that a good way to tune bass by ear, not by the computer telling me what tune it, to play the sounds higher up on. It's a bit easier to hear the pitch. Okay, so we're going to go something like that. And I'm going to try and find something a bit... If we're going like wave, we want like a kind of re-space, really. Okay, so what I'm going to do... Go to the piano roll. So you can see there... So I'm going to add this in so that I can play along. So what I might do is add like a little, like a UK drill style slide in as well. So it's super simple, right? I've got my snap on time there. Everyone following all right, yeah? Exactly. That's why I like that dirt in samples. It just adds a layer of shittiness that you can't get from clean 808 sounds. We get some gliding squares in there. We did say we were going to add some grime in. So... I'm kind of feeling like that's in tune, right? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pitch it down by Control A. That selects the whole pattern. And then I'm going to hold down Control. And I'm going to press the down key. And that's going to shift it down an entire octave. And I'm going to shift it another one so it's like subby. So now I've got like the tune. Now, before I forget, let's save version 1. Just going to save it. So we've got save. It's good to get in the habit of doing that regularly. I know you can use resample VSTs to make things sound dirty, but nothing beats actual dirt. I like sampling subs off of like records where they've been left clean. And I've got some sub samples like that as well, which we might swap into in a bit. What I really want is like a respace. So I'm gonna add a. Get into maybe absinthe. Absinthe is like a really good ambient one, but it does have a couple of decent kind of like dirty resounds in it. I haven't used absinthe for ages. Absinthe 5. These are all these VSTs, as they're called, work on multiple platforms. This one will take a minute to open. It's quite a big one. Let's have a little look at the chat. Let me get into there. What's this? The RX950 plugin dirties things up nicely, yeah? I need to check that out. I'm not familiar with that one. Gliding squares, we can definitely get into some need a shittiness VST. Absinthe seems to be playing up, and this is why it's good to save, because I feel like we're going to crash, right? Oh no, we're good. This is absinthe. I've been using absinthe. It's got a shitload of sounds in it. Got some really good weird sounds. Good for like ambient. But we're going to try and find some bass. That is. Have I owned any hardware or synths? Yes, I've got a Yamaha DX 100. Was it a DX10? You know what? It's Swindle's borrowing it. He's been borrowing it for a while, so I haven't seen it for a long time. But yeah, that's the only piece of hardware I own. That's quite. Have I ever session crash? Oh yeah. I go into that. The recovery. That's good on FL. This is nice, kind of garagey. I wonder if this is going to work for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy our bass pattern, Control C, Control V into that absinthe there. I'm going to mute this for a second by pressing this button. I'm just going to hear. It's a little bit too whistly, but it's also a pitch higher. This might work as more like a layering. I don't think that's going to work as our main bass. So let's switch that out. Go back into our browser. Bass. Where was we? So that was the blower. The blown bass. That's nice. Bit too much in there. But quite. I feel like I'm missing loads of my sample libraries on Absinthe. I haven't used it for so long that let's leave Absinthe. We'll swap it out. I don't think Absinthe is going to give us what we need because the sample libraries I was looking for are not there. So I've right clicked it. I'm going to replace it with a. I mean, we could just do a sample, but let me just try one more thing. Let's have a little look and see what the MS-20 can offer us. Hopefully, it's not going to ask me for my reg code again. For some reason, all of my org plugins like me to re-enter my my code every now. Oh no, it seems to be working. So this is like some classic sounds on this. Classic sounds on this one. Tune done. Bounce it. Send me 10 grand now in the bank. Some proper like 80s vibes here. Talking about like electro earlier. This is the bass you want for that electro vibe. We'll get into an electro one another day. This is the kind of thing that we need. Now, let me see if I can tweak it to how we need. So, basically what I need from this sound, and this is, I'm not very good at sound design, but I do know a little bit of my way around. So what we need to do, basically, we need that kind of like subby, like Reese vibe. Something like this works nicely, but it's got too much high end on it. So, on programs, you have these things called filters, right? And they filter out certain frequencies. So, in this case, what I'm trying to do is filter a lot of the high frequencies out. So we've just got the bass. So this, where I'm hovering now, low pass filter, that cutoff point, if I bring that down, it will sound less high. So I'm going to hold the key down and I'll drag it down and you'll hear it change itself a little bit so I can hear. Ready? Now you can hear the bass. Higher. We'll bring it lower. And the high pass filter, I'm going to leave it completely open so that all the bass is there. So we've got like a bass there. And what I like to do, it might be too low. Like we might need a little bit more high on this. When I start playing this in, now if we listen to the pattern, sorry, because we've already got our keys in there. Let's see if it sounds alright. See, I'm not sure if there's enough about this. But let's play it with the rest of the song and see what it sounds like. For me, that doesn't sound like bass. So what I'm going to do, I like the feel and the sound of it still. So I'm going to take the bass out of it. We're going to put a bass under it. So now you can barely hear it, which sounds ridiculous, but I like a bit of its character. So I'm going to keep it in the mix, but I'm going to add. Let's put like a bait drill. Let's put some punchy drill and just see if this works. I don't know if this is going to work with Garage, but let's give it a go, yeah? So to get that kind of like drill bass, you want to work with samples and not with VSTs ideally. Because you have a little bit more control over them in FL. So what we're going to do is go to the envelope on this 808 sample, which sounds like this. Pretty nice. We're going to turn the envelope on, bring the attack all the way down. So that now the envelope's on, you can see the attack, right? That's kind of like the shape. So the longer that attack is, the more it's going to kind of like wow into it. So that is going to be like wow. This is going to be like wow. That's going to be like wow. Wow. So if you want it to hit straight in, like punch in, you want no attack. So you listen to this. There's no attack. If we listen to it with attack open now, a bit like a string. You want an attack on like a string sound. For the sake of like a drill kind of thing, we want to turn the hold all the way up. We want it to look like that, yeah? Because then it means that when you let go of it, it turns off instantly. And it allows us to do like those slides, right? I think there's some delay on the audio. Sorry about that. We're going to see if this is going to work. This might be the worst idea I've ever had, but I'm playing around. We're going to go into the piano roll. In the piano roll, I can see this is called a ghost channel. There's a setting in FL. So I can load in. That's going to be too low. As you can see, our root note there is there. But I'm having to play it there, which tells me that my sample is not in tune. That's fine, I can work around it. I'm going to leave it for now, but I'll show you in a bit. Right, I need to also snap this to... is it cell? Yeah, that's like it. So cell. So, for that kind of like... So also you can hear it kind of playing twice. And the reason that is because this is clicked. Use loop points, which means it just loops. Take that off and just hit randomly. Yeah, the feedback is probably because I've got the music up. Sorry, guys. I need to turn it down a touch. So, let me hear it now. How's that? Less feedback, yeah? See, me personally now, this bass is not working. This is not garagey. Now it just sounds a bit off key. So what I want to do is just remind myself where these sounds are. Space. Right, I need to add a mate, maybe. Any idea where I might find a nice Reese? Anyone in the chat, remind me where the good Reeses are at. Predator. Use this for a while. I don't think it's going to be in this. It is a cricket in there somewhere, I think. The fusion of styles. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not writing it off. Just for now, I'm going to mute that because I don't. Rob Pappen. That's a bit more like, but it needs some weight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that into there. That sounds a bit more like it. So, let's do this. And this needs to come down. That little layer that we've got in the mix is too heavy. I'm going to bring that right down in the mix. I'm going to add a little bit of reverb on it. So this is your effects channel here, right? Next to all of these have an effects channel. I'm going to just give this one its own, right? Double click it. And then we get our mixer channel up, right? I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of reverb. So over here we got our slots. Right click it. I'm going to put a basic fruity reverb in there. This comes included in FL. It's actually not a bad little reverb, to be fair. I'm going to give it a tiny bit of reverb. And I'm going to turn it down a bit further in the mix. It's just a texture. Not supposed to be overpowering. And on the Predator, to add some bass, I'm going to give... yeah, this stream will be saved. You can watch it back on Twitch, on my videos. So in Predator, I'm going to open another channel, 6, and I'm going to add a fruity bass boost, which is another really basic. And I normally like to boost it around 83 Hertz, 84. And very subtle, not a lot. You don't want to overpower anything. I'm going to turn this up for 2 seconds so I can just like tune my ears to it. Effects. Filter. There, that sounds a bit more like it. Okay. Now it's sounding a bit dirty and evil and dark. Let's have a listen of that with the rest. Another one I like at the moment is this one. It's a free VST. It's called La Petite Excite. And what this does is it just boosts like harmonies really subtly in the mix. So it's good for warming up bass or strings, that kind of thing. So I'm going to give it a tiny boost. You'll hear the difference, right? I'm going to turn it on and off. It really widens it. So we're getting somewhere now. It's starting to sound like a song almost. We've got a really basic structure there. So we got our drums for 16 bars, our pads come in, and our bass comes in. So what we need, I'm trying to think what I want to add next. I think it needs a bit more skip to it, but it needs like a lead. We've got like a pad. We need like a lead. So I'm gonna add. I'll tell you what we will do actually while we're in like the mix of adding effects. I'm definitely getting an echo from my mic. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting. Apologies. Shout out everyone. Everyone good though. Yeah? Following. Trying not to go too fast. We'll stick around for another like 40 minutes. We can continue this. I'll come back to this maybe this time next week. It'd be nice if we get this whole track done on stream maybe. And then I can show you how to get it out there. And I'll walk you through the promotional process of these things as well. Vocal chops would be sick, but I'll spend way more than 40 minutes just trying to find something I can sample and chop. So for now, I'm going to add another contact. I'll add another contact and we'll get like a lead. Little lead synth, just a little pluck, I think, to like add a little extra layer. Let's have a play. I'm gonna pan that little effect, like that low synth, a little bit to the right. To start to add a little bit of stereo width to everything. Also, what I would do, a lot of people don't touch pan. I like to touch the pan on all of my, especially in my drums. We'll get into that in a bit though. Right, so contact. Let's get dark energy. On a lead. Not that one. Do you know what? I feel like it might be better with a string rather than a... wire, maybe? So, shout out everyone enjoying this. As you can see, like I said, I work quite slowly, so I hope you guys can follow this. It should be pretty easy to follow because I'm just playing. This is how I produce, very slowly, a lot of trial and error. I'm just trying to find something that sounds right, and then I can tweak it to how it needs to be. See, that sounds a bit like what I'm looking for. It's a little bit too dramatic now. Some ambient might be worked. A little vocal chop would definitely elevate it. That's quite nice. This one's quite a, as you can see, takes a little bit of time to load. It's quite a heavy. This is nice. That's the sound there, I think. New pattern. I'm gonna right click the channel, go to piano roll. See what it sounds. Not sure. I like it. It's kind of dark, but we're adding layers. Sometimes I won't even use these, but it's good to have lots of options that you can bring in and out. It's quite loud. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that down in the mix. I like a bit of subtlety. I'm going to pan it left a touch. So, effects-wise, still need a kind of lead synth, but nothing too. Again, I want it to be dirty, right? So we can see if we've got any kind of like strings. Got some really old. That's like a loops. Brass string. One I wanted to press. Vengeance packs. Everyone knows about the Vengeance packs. Bit of Johnny Cash. Okay, so I'm going to load this into. So there, I forget. I'm not particularly great. I'm going to add the. I want to add a Serato sample channel, and I'm going to load this old garage string. Old school Hobson's choice, right? See if we can on myself, select, find samples. This might give us the dirt that I'm looking for. I'm going to have to turn it up again. So I need to turn that right up. It's really quiet. Sides. Level. And we can even in Serato sample use it poly, which is great. We can like make chords out of samples. You can even hear the vinyl crackling there. super loud. I just needed to hear it. Sorry, guys. Ears are leaving me. The ears are leaving me. I think I'm going to leave that sound for now. It's there, but I'm not feeling it. Not feeling it. Man, like 50. Can't sample 50 Cent on it. I feel like that works. I'm going to put this in, right, into a new channel. Okay, so piano roll. Right, I'm going to shorten that sample. I keep turning the music up and getting that echo. So on here, I'm actually going to use the built-in and there is a built-in delay. I'm just going to see if this works. I'm going to add a little bit of reverb, so I'm going to give it its own track on the mixer. This is the same as doing it by the side. I'm going to come to 7, add a tiny bit of fruity reverb just to warm it up. That makes the size of the room bigger or smaller. Make it big. This is the decay time, so like how long you hear it. I'm going to take the bass out of it. You can hear that reverb. But I want to bring a bit more reverb, I think. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. Save that. Any questions where we're at now? Is everyone following this? I'm a bit like concerned that I'm just kind of going. Shout out everyone in the chat. Dan, all the gang, Eddie, God, all the crew. How are you all doing today? I'm just chipping away at this. Shout out all the new followers as well. Quite a few of you today. Everyone viewing. Didn't know Plastician used FL Studio since the beginning of time, my friend. I feel like, well, I was using FL Studio 2, like Fruity Loops 2.0, back in like the days of beginning, like trying out my hand at production. So, yeah. Any questions while I'm here? I'm gonna like take a minute to just kind of not listen to the song. Sometimes I find, like, if I wasn't on stream, something that I would do, classic, is to leave it playing really loud on the around. Think what it is. This stage of production, an hour and 40 ahead of where I take a lot. Have I ever tried any other DAWs? Yeah. So I've used Reason in the past, Cubase. I did a college course. And I did a course on Ableton as well. I only really use Ableton to time stretch and use the warp markers. So sometimes if I download or like I chop up a sample, I'll put it into Ableton to just like use the warp markers. No, it wasn't Croydon College. I went to Carshalton. And yeah, so then I'll use Ableton occasionally for that, but I find everything in Ableton takes longer. Because I don't play stuff, I like to draw stuff in. FL's better for that for me. Ableton's more geared up for people who play stuff, play their drums, play their synth lines in, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I have used Ableton, but I've never finished a full song in it. Shout out to Ableton gang. Used to work across the road at Carshalton Girls, yeah? Just down the road, over the bridge where the water was, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, anyway, at the end of the day, it's all down to what you know, what you're comfortable with. I know I can get results out of FL that I won't be able to get elsewhere, and it doesn't make any difference to me sound-wise. So at this point, I feel like we rushed the drums a touch. There's more syncopation needed in the drums to give it that garage feel. So I'm going to go over the drums again. What's this one? That's too sharp. I need like a shaker in that. Maybe. Nope. Two. That's it. That's where it needs to be, but. So the shakers are too heavy on the mix as well. Now shakers and hats are something that always need a bit of reverb, I think, to just liven them up a bit. So I'm going to reverse this tambourine. Sometimes just like putting some weird sounds in there, really like. Maybe that needs to be reversed as well. So now we just got some weird, dirty sounds in there. Let's start panning bits left to right. Now, where is our main snare? This here, right? Let's give this some reverb. We'll put it into 8. A little bit of reverb on the end of that. There. Bring the wetness down a touch. The wetness is the mix between the sound on its own and the sound with the reverb. So, little bit of reverb on that. Now that is too loud. It needs a little bit of delay on it as well, I think. It needs to be a little bit dirtier. So mod X on FL, I think, is by default the frequency on the low pass filter. So if you bring that down, it takes a little bit of the high end off. Nice. Cool. So what about this clap? That's too clean. So I'm going to add that reverb. Okay, I quite like that. Sounds a bit wonky. So for me, the tambourine sounds too stiff. So it needs a neighboring tambourine to make it sound like it's a real tambourine. So what I'm going to do, go back into my drum samples, and I'm going to find a tambourine sound that kind of sits there nicely. Where's my drum? Instruments. Old fruity drums, and find my let's have a listen. So I haven't really got any percussion in there just yet, so starting to skip around nicely. So I'm just tweaking bits now. So I'm going to make an edit of this last pattern here. So at the end of our drums, we've got like a drum roll, if you like. I'm just going to put basically a snare. So what I'm going to do is I click here, see where it turns into like a finger, and click that and go make unique. And then it basically makes another pattern over here. It kind of clones it, but it keeps it in the existing spot that it was in. So if I listen to this pattern, it's the same as it was. So what I want to do is do like a snare. Not that snare. I don't like that one. In fact, we can delete that snare. Going to be used. So. So, now we look at the snare. I'm going to give it a little bit down there. And we're going to do a bit of filter cut off, frequency down. That's sounding bit. Cool. So we've got like the end of our drum pattern. We've got like a little variation. So we can paste that into the final pattern. So that every fourth drum we've got that little drum roll. We're starting to add like those edits in. What I like to do is, in an ideal world, have a slightly different version for every kind of like 16 beats. But now we've got it every 8 bars. So we got the beginnings of a song here now. We're almost there, right? Shout out Jay for the tip. Big up. I respect you for that. Cheers to that. Wow, 2 hours in already. I'll squeeze a little bit more in before I go for today. But we'll continue this on another day. Thursday, maybe we'll do a quiz again. If you missed the quizzes, they are good fun. Come back on Thursday, 7 o'clock. So I'm here on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 7. And sometimes I'll pop in between. Like today, I jumped on and did like an hour mix at lunchtime because I needed to wake up and I wanted to play some disco. So that's what I did. So I like how dirty this is. Now I'm going to show you another little effect. This is something I haven't shown you, right? FL Studio by default puts this fruity limiter in the master. Turn that off. You don't want no limiters in your track. In fact, I should have done that first. Luckily for me, it doesn't sound... That just compresses the shit out of it. I'm not a fan of massive compression, as you'll learn as we get through the final stages of building this track. Now, to give it a bit more of that lo-fi garagey vibe, we will stick a little plugin called Milli Vanilli. Gives a vinyl effect over the master, but we can automate it in and out of the FL Studio. Here we go. Right, so as you can see, I've got a lot of plugins. Lost many down the years, and there's a lot of good free plugins online as well. Milli Vanilli. Here we go. So Milli Vanilli emulates a vinyl crackle. It's quite nice, just the sound of vinyl crackle. I feel like I keep going back to this. As you can hear, it's quite loud when it first turns on. So I've muted it there in the channel, as you can see. When I turn it back on, we're going to start to calm it down a touch. So if I click and drink that, that's like the volume. But there's a lot of vinyl dust on this. So what we can do is turn these bits off, right? Like this. Turn the friction off because that's too much. A few clicks like that. Frequency down so there's not too many of them. Density down, volume down. Let's turn dust on. But turn it right down. We want the dust to be quite subtle. Click A. We don't want too many. Main volume. There you go. You've got a bit of vinyl crackle. How's that sound? But I'm not sure. I'm still like on the fence about it. I like adding vinyl crackle into the drums and rhythmic and not just a background noise. But have a listen of how this sounds with the drums rolling and see what you reckon. A little bit more bass in that sub. Turn that low up a touch. Push the output. Big up Dan for the tip, sir. Respect. You know what? I quite like where this is going. And I think it would be really nice for us, if you guys are I don't know, you guys might be sick of hearing this song already. But what I'd like to try and do is like build the whole song on streams. So you can all kind of get involved with it. And as we get further down the process, we could get some suggestions from people. And it'd be nice if we all sit and live with this over the next week or two, just maybe dropping in on a Tuesday and doing this and adding bits to it. If I do anything in the week in between, I can start the session showing what's new. And then maybe we could take it from there to some mastering options. We can have a look at some online ones. We can some pro mastering. I can show you how to get the song ready for pre-master. Then we can get it into distribution. We can promote it. We can release it. So over the course of the next month or two, you guys will get to see everything you need to do to get your music ready, out there, promoted, and we can actually see if it does all right on Bandcamp, streaming, all of that. How does that sound? Could you share samples from the project as you go for viewers to play with and share? That could be cool. Maybe that would be a nice way to end it. When I'm kind of happy enough with the song, we could bounce stems out and open it up to you guys to like get a remix of it, and then that could come out with the original, like the my favorite one, Pat. We could do that. In terms of like releasing, promoting, and that, while a few of you are in here, is there anything that you'd really like to know about the process of making, releasing, promoting, all of that? Let me just save this. I like where this is going. I do like it. I've been trying to make something like this for a minute. I need to work on the mix of that bass. It's a little bit muddy, but it's doing what I want it to do for now. A remix contest. Yeah, so I reckon if we continue this for the next few weeks, get it to where it needs to be, in a couple weeks' time, we might be in a position to go, right, that's pretty much done. Bounce the stems out, let you guys download them, work on them for a week, then we'll come back, listen to the remixes, and I can have a look at which one I like the best. And then we can look at getting it out. How does that sound? I think that sounds very wholesome and community vibe. And that's what I'm all about. Is everyone watching this at home? Is everyone safe? Let's have a little chat for a minute. It's been hard to keep on top of the chat while I've been doing the production. I do get a little bit lost at times. But I hope you learned a little bit. If there's anyone who hasn't done any production yet, I really hope that gave you a little insight into it. You know, like for me personally, I go onto YouTube quite a lot still and try and learn bits and bobs. If I get a new plugin, want to learn my way around it, I go on YouTube, have a look at how it works. But I do find a lot of those tutorials are rushed, and there's a reason for that. Is because YouTube, obviously, audience retention is big for like your numbers on YouTube, right? So if you want to be pushed to more people, more viewers, you need to keep your audience engaged. So if your video is like half an hour long, it's really hard to keep them as long as the video lasts. They'll skip through it. So if they can shorten their videos down to like 4 to 5 minutes, it means that their retention's high, gets fed to more people, and that's how YouTube works. But the good thing about Twitch is we can sit here for hours, and it doesn't mess me around too much. I think most people in the chat already follow me or are new. If you are new, welcome. If you're not new, I've noticed a few tips today. Dan Crystal Palace, thank you so much for your tip. JPRYC, DJ DNDY, thank you for your tips. I appreciate that. And yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm surprised. I needed to get some production done, so this was a good opportunity to do that. And I hope you guys learnt a bit. And yeah, kept it quite simple for now. We can get into, once we start getting into like effects, mixing, panning, all of that EQ can get a little bit mind numbing. But I'll try and keep that as far away from being boring as possible. But I think maybe next week we'll open this back up. I'll work on it a little bit in the week, not too much. Maybe I might add some vocals in. I need to find some. This is the thing. It would be it would take me hours to find something that fits in there to do what I want it to do. There's no point me turning that into a stream because we'll be sat here for about 4 hours going through YouTube trying to find something that sounds interesting or weird, or yeah, it can take a while. Automation is something you struggle with. Yeah, I'm a bit of a shit at automation as well, but I feel like this one's going to need a little bit, especially on things like the drums, to give it that dirt. I like to automate the low pass filters a little bit on things like snares. So Dan, automation is basically, I'll show you on screen. In FL Studio, you look at where my mouse is, all of these knobs, everything inside the synths, all of these buttons that you can hover over, all of the knobs here, literally everything, all of these things can be automated. Automation basically means you can control the behavior of this button over a course of time. So to give you an example, this here is the pan of that channel. So if that shaker, this sound, that little button there is the pan. And the pan basically is where it sits in the mix. If it's like, at the moment, it's set as dead center. If I go like that, it's all the way left. If I go like that, it's all the way right. Let me reset that. If I right click that, create automation clip, right? Channel panning. And I go into here on my timeline. So that represents dead center. And I can make marks on it so that like from here it starts and it's like dead in the center. But then here it's going to be all the way. So is that all the way left or right? I can't be sure looking at it like this. But then we can bend it. We can make it, So basically, this graph or this chart tells me that at this point in the track, i.e. the very beginning of it, that shaker is going to sit dead center in the mix. But then we're going to get over here and it's going to be just in your left ear or just in your right ear. I think that's left. So that is channel automation. I've just deleted it, so it shouldn't affect. Just delete that. Channel delete. Let me save. So yeah, that's automation. But you can do that on things like filters. So you learn a little bit about low pass filters. So particularly on like this, we could automate that low pass filter. It's there, the cutoff. So it would open up so it goes like that. Bring it back down to 2.5. But yeah, you can do that over the track so it sounds like things open up, close up. And that's what automation is. It's basically telling something how to behave over time. I think for now, we'll call that a day. We've got the beginnings of our track. We've got a couple of drum edits in there. I want to put some more vocals in. I like it. I'm into it. Not gonna lie, quite happy with that. That's a good start to a song for me personally. And it kind of does what we wanted it to do. It's got the garagey drums, like a dark, grimy tone to it, wavy tone, and then that's one thing we didn't get round to is putting those kind of like classic grime sounds in. And I've got a nice folder of sound specifically for that, if I'm not mistaken. Try and find them. Grimy. Here we go. All the classic bait ones. All the classic bait grime sounds that we can get into. But yeah, we'll try and fit those in somehow. That would have to be a bit of a switch up on where we're at now, but we'll get into it. We'll make it work. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. Couple hours. Got a little bit done there. And yeah, look after yourselves. We'll get back into it again soon. Maybe next Tuesday we'll do another production stream. Like this, we can work on it a bit more and continue from where we left off. But yeah, big up. If you're not following already, do give me a follow. If you are an Amazon Prime user, get on the subscribers. You can subscribe to my channel for free if you are a Amazon Prime user. Just click subscribe and then subscribe with Prime. And if you haven't done that already with someone else's channel, you can do that for mine. The next stream will be on Thursday, and it's likely to be another quiz. I do enjoy the quizzes. I think Thursday's quiz might be a garage one. We've only had one garage quiz so far, so maybe we'll take it garage again. Some old school UKG vibes. I might have a mix before it. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I think Thursday garage will be fun. So I think let's do that. Big up everyone. That was fun, and I hope you learned something. If you didn't, then I'm sorry. But yeah, it's been a good time. Hope you guys had a good time, and I will catch you guys on Thursday at 7 o'clock, Sunday at 7 o'clock, Tuesday at 7 o'clock. If not, I might jump in the mix in between then. You might see me pop up, so keep an eye out. Big up everyone. Look after yourselves. Stay indoors, most importantly, and I will see you on Thursday, 7 o'clock. Big up everyone. Shout out everyone. Big up.